evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Mahoning Drive-In Theater, the largest single-screen drive-in in the United States. We're certainly glad you could be with us this evening, and don't forget the concession stand is open with all kinds of great things to eat and drink.
All right, 89.3 Mahoning Drive-In Radio. It's your old friend Virgil back once again with another installment of our amazing staff series where we get to learn a little bit more about the people who make the magic happen at the Mahoning Drive-In Theater. And I couldn't be more excited because today we have a very special part of the Mahoning family, somebody who really, really breathes the life into the theater, if you will. Everybody welcome Andrew. Andy, how you doing, bud?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Virgil.
Dude, super excited. It's great to see you. I've been saying this to everybody, but like in quarantine mode that we're still kind of in as we rev up for the 2021 season, it's really nice to do these because it reconnects us early before we get back to the theater. So
yeah, I do love our employee chats on Messenger, but it's nice to hear your voice, Virgil.
It's nice. And even though you guys can't see us, we are actually seeing each other. So a little bit of that social contact, although from a distance. So we're going to get right into it with the basic questions. Andy, how did you first discover the Mahoning Drive-In Theater? I
first saw online that there was an Alice, Sweet Alice, and Suspiria double feature. And as someone that, grew up loving a drive-in, I was like, what? This exists within under an hour of Bethlehem? Because I'm from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And I just felt like, how the hell was I not aware of this? And this was actually back in 2015. So pretty much when I saw that double feature, I knew there was something really special about this place. And that's how I got hooked.
Yeah, it's one of those things like the genre appeal is really, I think, what hooked a lot of people. And then they started getting into what the Mahoning really is about, which is the preservation, the 35 millimeter, this and that. But when you see Alice, Sweet Alice is playing at the drive-in, like, how are you going to pass that up,
Oh, yeah. I knew I would be right at home because whoever was there must be awesome people.
Well, you're definitely known as, an eclectic taste. Did you always have that love for movies? And more specifically, did you have a past with drive-ins before you came to the Mahoning as a fan?
Just for a little fun fact, I always loved movies, especially horror films. The earliest memory I have in my life is literally watching my parents watching Phantasm when I was probably like 3 years old. And, they probably didn't think like, he's not going to pay attention and understand. But I actually had a nightmare about the tall man, except he was neon blue and eyeless. But I didn't discover that it was Phantasm until I was 14 and I was watching a horror compilation. I went, oh my God, flashback. That's the freaking movie. As for drive-in theaters, my first drive-in theater experience was Batman Forever at Becky's Drive-In. And pretty much growing up, Becky's Drive-In and Shankweiler's were the closest to me. So those were the two I depended on up until I discovered the Mahoning. And then I made a 100% switch because that's more my cup of tea, I would say.
The alternative drive-in, if you will.
Yes.
And it's nice because having such a rich drive-in culture right around us, we're very lucky, even though, when I tell people, hey, I run a drive-in movie theater, most of them look at me like, there's drive-ins still? It's still this hidden gem. But for us, especially you in the Bethlehem area, it's like we had a couple great ones and still do in the area. So that culture certainly was alive. But you brought up the idea of, your parents kind of introducing you and being very open about movies with you. Do you feel like that shaped the cinephile that you are now? I certainly look at you as, kind of the encyclopedic knowledge of deep cuts film.
Yeah, so on my mom's side of the family, with my aunts and my mother, that was something they would do as children. They would watch horror films, mostly on cable, such as Trilogy of Terror, which scared the crap out of my Aunt Barbara. My mom kind of used that movie to bully her, like, oh, the little Zuni Hunter doll went away, and then she would look at me like,
it sticks with you.
Well, you know, my mom was always pretty good about letting me watch horror films. When I was a little kid, her main rule was, hey, if there's nudity on the screen, I'm going to tell you to cover your eyes, and then when it's gone, you can open your eyes again. So she was always pretty lax about it because horror movies brought her so much fun as a kid. She wanted to pass that down to me, but she didn't just start me off with like slashers and all that. Despite me seeing Phantasm when I was 3, she really cared about me respecting the classics. So I was watching Frankenstein and The Wolfman and House on Haunted Hill. Like, she pretty much started me in sequential order, which I'm glad for because I have a true appreciation for the whole timeline of horror movies. And then for non-horror movies, I got exposure to some 80s stuff thanks to my oldest sister, because a lot of movies would get recorded off the cable onto VHS tapes like a lot of our parents did back in the day. Oh, yeah. So that's where all my non-horror knowledge comes when it comes to stuff before my time. And I was born in 1991, but I still, you know, I have a lot of knowledge about older stuff than mine. And most of the time I prefer the older stuff. So.
Oh, yeah. That's why it's a perfect marriage with what we're doing at the Mahoning and your eventual coming into the fold. But it's funny because you do have a history past with us. Since 2015, when you started coming to the lot, you kind of became a face that we all recognized, that we all gravitated to. We all knew you by name, and you really did become part of the family. And I think that really kind of got strengthened by your, I don't know if it was chance or it was planned, but your involvement with the documentary. Why don't you talk about that little roller coaster ride and how that came to be?
Oh, that's a fun story. So I was with my friend at the time. I didn't have a working car, neither did he. So one of our friends dropped us off at the gates and said, listen, I got to be at work by like 4 p.m. So if I'm going to give you a ride to the drive-in, I'm going to have to drop you off in the middle of the afternoon, hours before they open at 6 p.m. And I said, I don't care if I have to sit under the sun in front of the gate. I'm taking this ride. I'm not passing it up. So, you know, we got some water to prepare for the sun. We had our camping gear. And I told my friend, I was like, okay, we're prepared to camp out in front of this gate, but just in case, let me see if they'll be lenient enough because of my bizarre situation, you know, to let me get set up a bit early. Yeah. And luckily the staff was graceful enough and they were like, oh, wow, well, that shows that you're really devoted to coming. So absolutely. So as we were setting up, we were approached by a guy with a camera. And at the time, I had no idea who he was. And this is Alex Minnelli. I thought it was just a YouTuber, which was totally cool with me. And he was like, hey, can I give you guys a quick interview? And I was like, sure. And thinking it was just a YouTuber, you know, of course I acted a little like my silly self. And, yeah. And then pretty much, you know, now and then after the interview, I would be like, oh, I wonder whatever happened to that interview. About a year later, or a bit over a year later, I get contacted by a director and he says, hi, I need you to sign a non-disclosure agreement to be featured in this. And I was like, what the heck? Feature-length documentary.
This is a real movie, yeah.
And then that's when I went, oh my God, what did I say? What did I do? and then I was like, you know what? I don't care. Like, whatever I gave, I'm sure it must be helping the guy if he wants to include it in this movie. And I even emailed him and I said, hey man, don't worry about making us look dumb because I know I was acting silly. Just put whatever, edit it however you need, put what you need in there. So my friend and I, we both signed our contracts and we were very excited. And we're also very thankful because it's a fun little comedic break in the documentary.
Oh, it gets a laugh every time. It really is that nice, perfectly timed little bit of heart. And it shows really what the Mahoning fan is all about. I mean, you are somebody, like you say in the documentary, hey, you know, we quit our jobs, we're here, we didn't even drive here, we're, you know, here hours early. So you are the perfect example of the type of fans that we were going after early, and you were one of the ones that really supported us early. I mean, 2015, that was really our first full season going retro, so you were right in there.
It was a very devoted crowd, but also a light crowd at that moment. But you best believe after my first show there, I've been pulling more and more and more friends up there, and I don't even have to tell them to come back. They come back on their own once they see what it's all about. You just got to get them there, and then they'll just keep coming back. So
that's kind of what happened was, you know, we saw this kind of gradual increase in, you know, support and the crowds, and year after year we started doing the annuals, and each year they started getting a little bit better. But, you know, the coronavirus, things like that, the reason that drive-ins have kind of caught light of late, I say because of Al's documentary, we were already on this great trajectory of success. So I think that, as crazy as it sounds, the idea of the world going nuts and having no other options forced a lot of people to get into that discovery mode and find us.
Really good that you guys were way ahead of the curve in that aspect, because now you're seeing new drive-ins being built. For instance, one in New Jersey, one in Texas, and pop-up drive-ins happening at Walmart parking lots across the country. So there's definitely a huge resurgence with the drive-in theater, and it won't go away when COVID goes away. It's going to become, you know, the big thing again.
Totally. And you're right. We were really ahead of the curve there. And I think about that with programming too. Now that the whole entire world is showing retro, you know, it really shows what is unique about the Mahoning. And one of the best quotes I heard last year was, "When the world goes retro, the Mahoning is king." Because even when right down the road, you know, you have another theater playing Ghostbusters 1 and 2, you take a look at our programming and you're like, oh, I see what it's about. They're digging a little bit deeper.
I honestly think you guys have definitely inspired some lineups, in my expert opinion. Inspired some retro programming.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? It's good that you can be the ones that people look up to, you know? I'm glad.
Well, it's funny. I was talking to Mark when this all started to come to fruition, the idea of the podcast. And even though we decided to brand out Mahoning Drive-In Radio, I was a big pusher for drive-in speakers, because I feel like that's what we are. We are very much mouthpieces now for the drive-in culture. We love to put ourselves out there, you know, for people to see and eat up. So now that the documentary as well, I feel like we are the most accessible drive-in.
Yeah, I love it. I love that, you know, it's in a central location. People from the Valley can come where I'm from. People from Philadelphia come. People even from New York and all over the damn country come. But it's a nice location between, you know, Philly, New Jersey, the Valley. Like, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Very accessible.
Great.
And very welcoming to all different kinds of people. So.
Well, that's what we love about it for sure. So, continuing this journey, your involvement as a fan, us really accepting you, how did you come to work at the Mahoning?
Okay, so I loved the Mahoning so much. I fell in love with it right away. So many times over the years, I thought, man, it would be really great to work there. And, you know, at the time I was like, oh, I don't want to give up, you know, my seat in the audience as a fan to come work. But at the same time, I wanted to. But once the pandemic hit, I was like, all right, there's going to be some huge challenges with COVID-19. Now's the time that I should really step in and help them out. And honestly, I'm so glad I did, because it was so much better than I even thought it would be to work there.
It was the greatest season for us. And we say that every year because we are on this kind of gradual increase and more people find out about us every year. But 2020 really allowed us to set the bar for what we can do, because everybody and their mother came to us looking to do their event, find a way to be in front of an audience with the, you know, pandemic restrictions and all that. So a lot of great things came our way in 2020, and you certainly had a lot to do with elevating what we were able to do digitally on the screen. So why don't you tell people what your role is at the Mahoning, what you do for us at the Mahoning?
Okay, so we usually offer on-site camping for people to stay overnight. That way they don't have to drive home very late at night. And naturally, a lot of people are going to be very up late. And I was always one of those people. Like, I normally would go to bed when the sun was coming up. And because of that, we like to sometimes put a little extra entertainment on the screen. And people could always count on me to give them a reason to stay up and have a good time.
Oh, yeah.
And so besides mystery late night fun on the screen, I also have a passion for cameras. I have my own cinematic camera. I intend to make my own short films and hopefully a feature film one day. But it just clicked in my head that, wait, I have a cinematic camera. I could probably use this on our digital system for, live on-screen entertainment. And honestly, it's been very great. We used it for Bruce Campbell, which was like the big, whoa, this works.
Yes.
We're going to continue using it for live events. And it even was a big hit at Monster Mania, which happened at the drive-in in 2020. We got to do the on-screen costume contest. And to be honest, when people turn around and they see themselves on that screen, they're like, oh, dream come true. I am on the legendary Mahoning screen. And it's fun that I'm the man behind the camera. Like, I have just as much fun as the people in front of the camera. Because I just love it. I'm passionate about cameras.
And it really did. It elevated things. We had several of those, freeze frame high five moments together this season of like, we did it. We pulled it off. And like, even though we have grown over the years, I think the great thing about the Mahoning is they are very mom and pop. We are very mom and pop. Mm-hmm. That, we're not some big corporation that's, coming and sweeping in. So when we have a big successful show, I look at it like my years in the band, which you can definitely relate to. It's like having an amazing gig. And, the crowd goes nuts for your stuff. You're kind of riding off that high of the energy. For sure, you are the one who keeps the party going through the night, but it definitely lends to that appeal. Now, you certainly have your spot on the lot before you started working at the drive-in. You've always been a back of the lot guy. Can you get into why that is more your speed than, let's say, the front row?
Yeah, so pretty much this is how it works. There's almost like two main sectors to the drive-in. So the first half of the drive-in, just like with mullets, it's business in the front, party in the back. So the front half of the theater, that's where the really serious cinephiles will sit and watch the movie. And obviously people that haven't seen the movie before, they're up front because they just want to watch it uninterrupted. And, they have real respect for the film. The back of the lot is maybe people that saw the movie. This is like their 20th time seeing it. So, they want to catch up with friends, socially distance within their group and their family groups, of course.
Right.
And also some people, even if they haven't seen the movie, they want to watch it with their friends, but still socialize. So, if you're going to chitter chatter, obviously at a respectable volume, that all has to be done in the back for the respect of the other patrons.
Oh, yeah.
So like I said, it's business up front, party in the back. And to be honest, it usually works great that way because when you're up front, you're not hearing the back of the lot because everyone has their speakers on. We have nice loud speakers up front for those in the front row, and everyone's happy that way.
Yeah. And that's a perfect example of, kind of the breakup. I've always been a back of the lot guy, always. Maybe when I was going as a kid, we would do that mid-range, closer to the snack bar type of thing. But certainly in my adult years, it's all about the kind of privacy, the ability to, mystery science out with your buddies and feel like you're not, like you said, interrupting for somebody who it might be their first time watching Phantasm or whatever it is, I would say that you definitely wear multiple hats at the theater. You're our lot manager, you're our digital booth projectionist, you are really everything as far as the creativity goes into an event. And getting things up on screen this year was humongous. Getting some additional guests and things like that this year definitely knocked the bar up. But what were your favorite moments, if you have any, of this last season working with us at the Mahoning?
Well, besides the big name ones like Monster Mania, Bruce Campbell, right off the bat in the very beginning of the season, as you recall, we had that Mad Max festival.
Yes, weekend number 2 last year.
Oh my God, did that blow my mind? Because I like Mad Max, but I was never hardcore deep into the fandom as I am with horror films. But I knew it existed because there's literally a whole Mad Max subculture out there where people literally go out in the desert. They stay out there for a week or two
to live it. Yep.
And they pretend that they are in the Mad Max post-apocalyptic world. But to see those people come to our drive-in, people had little buggies driving around the lot, and people had their gas mask, of course, because that's a fashionable way to be COVID friendly. And everyone was dressed up like characters or their own original characters. And honestly, even though that was the beginning of the season, that always stuck out in my mind as, holy crap, that was an amazing event. And everyone had a great time. And that had to, hands down, be one of the best celebrations of Mad Max ever in the history of the world.
Yeah, it was amazing. We got some awesome shout outs from cast and crew and, got them up on screen. And that event certainly was fandom supreme. Like you said, the post-apocalyptic cars and everybody rocking the costumes. And it really showed us early last year that we can still do what the Mahoning does and do it safely, And it was perfect that everybody had to wear masks anyway. So
And also, I want to give a big shout out to the fans because, I know that some people have a lot of different feelings about the mask and, yada blada. But for some reason, when they come through those gates at Mahoning, people just, they shut up about it and they wear the damn mask.
Respect. Yeah.
And because of that, we can keep this operation going without any trouble. Yeah. And we keep it going safely as we intend to do. And the more people that wear masks, the more others are encouraged to wear it because they don't want to be that one oddball out of the seat
that we're all going after and making feel bad.
Yeah, exactly. And if there is that one guy, everyone's going to be yelling at them before the staff even gets to them.
It's true.
But I want to say a big thank you to the audience for complying with the mask because obviously it's so we can stay open.
And I see it too, like having the world of running the big indoor multiple screen theaters and seeing what fans do on a regular basis at those theaters. It's like a free-for-all. It takes half hour, an hour to clean up a theater, where with us, there is a mutual respect, I think, between what we do and the fans. And there have been people with us for so long that I'll see them before we even open, or as we're closing, they'll go walking around the lot, picking stuff up for us. So it is a mutual love that I don't think you get at many other places, which is pretty amazing.
Part of that is because they see the faces and they know the staff, and they don't want to disrespect the staff that they like. So of course they're not going to just litter all over the place and, not follow the rules. So totally. It is like a mutual respect kind of thing, and that's a big part of why it runs so smoothly.
And it's a great situation with bringing you into the fold because, like you said, it is a family. Everybody kind of knows your name. Now that the documentary is out there, it's like people will come up and say hi to us, and we don't even know who they are.
Yeah, so they purchase autographed DVD copies, so that's always fun.
It's pretty nuts, right? But yeah. It is. It's a great kind of extension and a welcome kind of gift that you were there for us in such a big way this year. And I said it many times on these commentaries. We're looking to have people that are going to be with us for 40 years and carry this thing on to the next generation. And I know that your heart is so solid into movies. So kind of segueing there a little bit, what would you say is your favorite movie? And I know it's a hard question if you have multiple.
Just because it's my earliest memory in life, I always go with Phantasm.
Hell yeah.
But I also, my second runner-up is usually Night of the Living Dead.
Yes.
And in more recent years, because I love defending it so much, everyone knows I absolutely have an unapologetic love for The Exorcist 2.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah. So honestly, I'll give you those top three. And they happen to be horror films, but that's my favorite genre.
Totally. So I'm going to spoil it here. I don't know if Mark will keep it in the final edit, but we are going to test out a crew commentary situation where we watch a movie together and do a kind of a commentary recorded. And of course, we're going to start with Phantasm. So super excited about that. So you guys have that to look forward to as well. And as we roll into the 2021 season, I know you have inside dirt, so we don't want to spoil anything.
Oh, no.
But do you have any kind of words of advice and wisdom for the folks as we come into the 2021 season?
If it's your first time coming and you want to just sit and watch a film, and we're going to have a lot of stuff you haven't seen before. So again, stick to the front of the lot. The more social life, like I said, is in the back of the lot. Wear your mask. Bring a radio because, unfortunately, sometimes when we get newcomers, they don't know to bring a radio. And you can always use your car radio, but you run the risk of killing your battery. So I always also recommend between each film during the intermissions, start your car. It recharges the battery. A lot of people don't know that. And a lot of people leave it running throughout the whole double or triple feature. And every time your battery will die. It's not meant to stay that long on accessory. So that's my tip. Either bring a radio, restart your car between movies, and you should have a good time. If not, I'll be there to jump your car.
I was going to say, how many cars do you think you jumped this year?
Oh, my goodness.
Hundreds?
Yeah, absolutely. Hundreds. Luckily, it's not like it takes too long. Especially if it's not completely dead. But I honestly don't mind because all that matters to me is keeping them happy and getting them out of there safely.
Oh, yeah.
So that way they don't have to pay for a tow truck to come.
It's part of the drive-in culture, that learning curve. Like you said, if you're a newbie, even though it's such an easy layout, it can be confusing for people. They're just like, where do I go? What do I bring? What do I do? And
yeah,
and they're always...
They're always so grateful. They always try to shove money in my face as a tip. And I say, hey, take that money and use it to get more tickets for next time.
I love it.
And they love it. They love it, because it's about helping the customer, not about getting tipped,
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing of what we do is, and even with this, with asking people to jump on board with this ongoing fundraising of the Patreon, it just makes sense. I mean, what we offer to a fan and can offer now to a fan, this is just the natural progression for us. And I think that that's the secret to our success, is really pacing ourselves, taking one step each year, growing and kind of piggybacking off of it. So I'm super excited for this new season for sure. Super excited to get back in the groove with you for sure. But why don't you tell the people to know a little bit more about you? What do you do when you're not working or seeing movies at the Mahoning Drive-In Theater?
So when I'm not at the Mahoning Drive-In Theater, I do have a full-time job just working at a printing place on a machine, but that's no fun. So I'll tell you what else I do. I've always, besides horror films, naturally, a lot of horror fans, they like heavy metal music. I've been a big heavy metal fan since I was a kid, and as I got older, I progressively got into the heavier genres of heavy metal. So I sing for a death metal band called Tartarus Horde. And we've had pretty good success within the metal scene. So I play shows in Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York City, Pittsburgh. I actually was on tour when COVID first hit, and we had to leave halfway through the tour because everything got shut down. We were actually on our way to Cleveland when we got the word that everything was closing down.
Crazy.
So my other free time is taken up with my band. And also, I always write story ideas. I have a whole notebook of ideas that I want to turn into short films or feature films. So I think a lot is pretty much what I'm trying to say. I do a lot of thinking about just stories that come to me. So, I stay nice and creative when I'm not at the drive-in as well as when I am there.
That's why I think you and I sparked so easily was you have this creative soul, this, you can't really be in a rested state. You're always thinking, working on something, moving to the next thing. And that's certainly something that I can relate to. And singing in bands for years and having kind of a guy that is so akin to that lifestyle, it was just a natural kind of a click. So Definitely rolling into this new year, fans have a ton to look forward to. And without spoiling anything, that bar is going to be raised in a big bad way. And hopefully you and I can work on some video stuff together, which is even...
Absolutely. Yeah, I love video editing, and I'm looking forward to help out where I can with that.
That, I think, covers everything here.
Just one more thing without spoiling anything. I'm super excited about certain Sundays that we have coming up. Very, very excited about certain obscure titles that I always dreamed of having but thought it could never happen. It's happening. So keep your eyes peeled for Sunday shows, because I can't get over it. I think about it when I'm trying to sleep at night. It's going to be incredible.
I love it. That'll get the hair standing up on the back of your head.
Yes, trust me.
Well, thank you so much for being with us, and thank you so much for giving so much to us season in and season out. And as we roll into 2021, we cannot wait to get back together and show the magic to you guys once again. So on that note, I'm Virgil signing off. Andy, if you want to give a shout out.
Hey, everyone that knows me from the drive-in, love you, miss you. I'm so excited to see you guys come back. Make sure you bring some new friends, bring some new family. Stay safe, wear your mask, wash your hands, and we'll see you when the drive-in's open.
My man. All right. And on that note, Jeff, take it away, my friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for coming out tonight to the Mahoning Drive-In Theater. We hope you'll come back and see us again real soon. The exit is on the right-hand side of the screen at the front of the field, and most importantly, have a very safe trip home. Good night and God bless you.